Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. Today we've got our good friend VHS on. Say hello VHS.
Hello.
Hopefully you'll remember that voice. We did this video here with VHS. He came and helped us out and showed us what to do. Learning dogfight technique with an expert. Not an expert in the sense that he's been a real pilot, but in the sense that he's as good as you can get pretty much with a certain type of plane, the F-14B, in DCS, and it showed. He did this video, it got loads of hits, it got 61,000 views because you guys liked it. And that's a lot for us. We're not set up for big views, and for us to get 61,000 views that's a really successful video. And it was about the most optimal way of using the F-14 in terms of speed, in terms of flaps, in terms of other things, and it was really good. It didn't stick with me straight away. It took me another couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months, before I actually really understood what you were going on about. And now when I fly the Tomcat, I get it. And as well as that, I understand how good the Tomcat is now if you use it properly. We now have guys in our group that have watched that and learned from you and now become, maybe not experts, but very good on the Tomcat. We have now some Tomcat drivers that will beat an F-16 and an F-18 pretty much any time, because they can get that massive slow speed turn rate that nothing else, maybe not in the world, but nothing else at least in DCS can achieve. And they can become the king of ACM. And the thing that you're really getting at is that if you configure the aircraft properly in terms of controlling your wings in and out and controlling your flaps up and down, you can configure your aircraft to be dynamically optimum, so that at slow speed you can optimize it for a tight turn rate. At high speed you can wings back, flaps up, and you can optimize the plane for a dart, an F-104. And whereas all the other planes are just stuck, with a single envelope, and it really works. As long as you can drive it well, it can be the king of ACM, not in terms of weapons, but in terms of kinematics. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, in the video, I mean, I've really polished up. I've actually gotten a lot better than what's shown in the expert video. But yeah, you hit it right in the nail between like on the 1v3 that happened at the end of that video, where it went into a low speed turn fight, and I think it was RC I was chasing at the end. I wasn't even touching the burner. I just had the wings back, riding military power, keeping with an F-16. And
it's showing in our missions now, which is great. The next thing we did is just myself and RC did F-14B Tomcat. Do these 1970s Grumman ACM techniques transfer to DCS world? So let me just go and watch this technique by this period accurate professional.
The first thing you have to do is negate it. And the best way to do that is to break into him. You've got G available, so start your break. Okay, now we want to go from this defensive position into a neutral and an offensive position. The way we can do this with the F-14 is we can pick its nose up. So we're sitting there. As we start to have the overshoot and going in here, we'll flop the wings level and we'll take the airplane up into the vertical.
The NFO instructor, who is riding in the back seat of the F-14 during this simulated air battle, is a busy guy. He conducts some of the briefings, sets up the rules of engagement, and later he'll help in the debriefing. Knowing the F-14 and the T-38 like the back of his hand, he'll recognize immediately when the trainee should make his move, when he should get out of the way. And if he hesitates for even a second, he'll know that too.
At that point, I'll be calling for you to level your wings to get them level prior to pulling the aircraft up into vertical. You want to make sure you get in pure vertical. If necessary, look inside. At that point, I will be having my eyes on the T-38 during the whole maneuver, so you don't need to worry too much about keeping silent.
Is there any chance the T-38 can out-zoom me up there and get me back?
No way. As long as you get your burners let in here and get your nose into the vertical, the T-38 just can't climb up with you. The more he tries to come up with you, the more he's going to load that wing up. And as you can see, that wing is much less than yours, so he's going to lose a lot more energy. Therefore, he isn't going to be able to sustain up into the zone.
Is there any way he can really counter that, or is he just going to end up in the same place every time?
No. The less that he counters, or the more dynamic that he counters, not coming up with you, the faster you're going to go after his wing line, the faster you're going to be able to place your nose behind him, and the faster you're going to be able to employ your weapon system. You have gone from the complete defensive to an offensive position. And that's what we're trying to look for.
So that was a reversal technique we showed against T-38, how we can go from defensive to offensive. And my understanding, I'm not an ACM guy, neither is RC. We are literally the layman. We are just here to present people who know what they're talking about. So my understanding of that was that you were just using your kinematic advantage, power to weight ratio, to out-zoom climb the other guy, and that was it. And we left it there, and it wasn't a very good video. We didn't really fully understand it. So at this point, you come in, correct us, and take over it. Is that right, Mr. V?
in the video, these videos are great, by the way.
Yeah.
These are really good for someone who's coming into the world of dogfighting and watching them. They just don't make them like this no more. They're really good videos. This point that the guy's making, he's just hammering home that the F-14 just has a really, really powerful, vertical capability, which you kind of demonstrated in your video. You went straight up, but in the world of a dogfight, you just don't do that. So if later he starts talking about wing loading, right? And the concept with wing loading is actively making a turn.
But that's where I got lost. I got lost because I was thinking, if he wanted to go up and do a rocket, why is that anything to do with wings? And I didn't understand. But
so when he makes that left-hand bank, then he goes up. Those two corners he makes creates loads on the wing. The F-14 has got some serious, wing area, including the fuselage, that is designed to be, the major lifting surface of that aircraft, which gives it one hell of an advantage when it comes down to one, that low speed turn rate, but two, when it comes down to actually making a realistic turn rather than really relying on high AOA, which the 18 and 16 are very reliant on to swing turns under 400 knots. So what's happening here with the F5, now the F5 flies very similar to the F-14 in the concept that it's not there to pull AOA, but make more realistic turns in the sense of degrees per second and actually moving through the airspace. So when you make that left-hand turn, then you go up those two corners, depending on how aggressive you're doing them and where you have your burners being lit, that F5, even with his burners lit, he's going to lose energy. Now, when we're in the vertical now, as we're going up, you just don't fly straight up. I mean, as you said, a missile shot's possible. And if that F5 pilot's good, he's going to read you and he's going to do certain things to potentially keep himself in the fight for the next turn, if you will. So when you're going up and the F5 is behind you, this is where wing loading is very important in the 14 coupled with its power. Imagine a barber's pole. Okay, it's a technique term there where you're going either up or down in the form of a barber's pole. If you do an upwards barber's pole and you're cranking as you're going up, you're loading those wings. That F5 cannot do that. If he does that as you're going vertical with those burners lit, staying in a form of a defensive maneuver, if you will, making sure he can't shoot you, the more that F5 will try to pull lead, if you will, get that nose on target, he's going to bleed a lot of energy, like a lot of energy. And at that point, the F5 is literally going to float there. You could proceed to do a yo-yo or a hammerhead and just roll the nose over, come down, burp, splash, next target.
So we are really exploiting two things then. A, the power, and B, the fact that we're not loading the wing as much per foot as the F5. Okay, well, I think we need to get in and see it then. Do you want to do F-14 and we'll be F5?
We're going to start it. We're going to go fights on. It's going to be a simulated fight, so no shooting yet.
Yep.
And all we're going to do is I'm going to break left, break vertical, and then I'm going to walk you up into a barber's pole. Now, it's not going to look as dramatic as a vertical. It's because, remember, in that video, it's an entry-level thing. They're teaching the new pilots, listen, this is your tool. This is something that is way beyond what the Phantom could do. You got to remember, those guys in that video, they were guys that either flew the Phantom or they're new. And they're coming into the 14 understanding that, holy shit, I've got power, a lot of power, compared to what I had in the vertical maneuvers. So I'm going to look as dramatic as I am going to go vertical. It's going to look like I'm still doing flat horizontal turns, but we're going to be inching up in altitude by every second. And 3, 2, 1, lights on.
Yep, the F5 is stalling, and the F5 is stalled.
Time.
Oh, look at that. It's got right round you. F-14 has solution, and there's a cut. Well done, boys. Can we repeat? This time I'm going to watch it from the F-14's point of view so I can see the statistics back to spectators.
When I was using, so I was using flaps, but only for a bit. And then when I was using them is at the peak of that vertical turn going flat when my energy was below, because when we were cranking, if you can see the vapor coming off the top of the F-14 in its current configuration, that typically is going to tell you that the 14 is below 300 knots. Because once it's cranking to the point where you can see the vapor, that means you're reaching the end of the envelope, and the only time you can really do that realistically without killing yourself is around under 350, 300. And when you're under 300 and you're reaching 250 and you get below 250 when you're cranking really tight, that's when it's safe to deploy your flaps realistically and get that extra lift that you need to crank ever so tighter. All right, 3, 2, 1, fight's on.
Let's go.
Flaps are deployed.
Well, that's smart. I'm sorry, Floyd.
That's a solution and a kill. Well done, boys. Right, can we repeat it? I'll be in the F5, please, so I can see how it feels.
3, 2, 1, fight's on.
I'm just going to try and react realistically and go into lag. God, that thing just goes like a rocket. Try and get my nose down because I've desperately got to get some airspeed to this thing to get some kind of turn rate. Trying to get up to 300 knots. I'm trying to trade in some altitude for some speed. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm not going to go up because I'm going to lose that fight. Keep the nose down, keep the nose down. No, that is solution. Worked out about the same as RC. Right. Ah, that's interesting. I guess the next thing is we've got to put me in a Tomcat, right?
What's happening here, because I know some people are probably going to either A, nitpick this, or they're just not going to know what's happening here.
Okay.
In the video, again, I want to make it very, very clear. In the video, having someone behind you that close is just not a realistic scenario to start from and be expected to win, if you will. If this was two excellent fighter pilots neck and neck, those first two cranks, if you knew what you were doing, you could get some shots off being that close to me. Now, whenever I teach dogfighting to people, if you're in that situation, the match might as well be as over. Because, you know, it's one thing to be taught to fight and it's another to be taught defensive. If you're fighting on the defensive end, that means the guy's behind you. And if the guy's behind you, then the fight's over. In this video, where they're having the F5 behind you, they are showing you the kinetic superiority of the 14, period. It's not showing if someone's behind your tail, you win instantly. That's not what they're trying to show in that training video. They're trying to show the new guys that are flying the new 14s that if you're fighting something that has a thrust to weight ratio well under 1, which the F5 does, unfortunately, in vertical fights, you're going to have an advantage. So how I'm applying that concept in that fight that we're doing from you being that close behind my 6 o'clock is I'm being very aggressive with the stick. That first turn, then the flat turn. So the flat turn, then the vertical turn. And then I just go into a flat vertical turn and we slowly just keep inching up and up and up. And if you try to pull lead, you're going to kill all your energy. And I heard you saying, drop the nose down, get my energy back. And at that point, I was just going right over the top and coming right over the turn on top of you, going from defensive to offensive. Now, if we're going to do more of a realistic standard where you are dropping into my 6 o'clock, that's a whole different ball game in relation to what we're talking about. All we're showing here is with the ability of turning at low speed in verticals, you can really bleed someone's energy. However, from this visual perspective, I want to say it's a little bit unrealistic, because all this perspective is here to do is to prove the point that in a prolonged fight, you can bring it around on somebody. However, from where you're sitting behind me, you're most likely going to get shot down by someone who's competent. It's just to show that you've got power over somebody.
Well, that's a great way of visualizing it, because the closer we are, the easier this thing is to visualize, because you can see the gap opening and the turn rate differentials.
Exactly, and that's the whole purpose of it.
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
We have a friendly Tiger, 6 o'clock roll, 1 mile.
Actually feels quite good. Actually feels good. Feels good. Feels good, boys. I'm going to keep going. I'm not won it yet. Keep going. I'm going to 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 drop down. I'm going to keep my flaps where they are. Oh, no.
Put your flaps up.
Pow, 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 pow. Are we heading it towards each other? Yes, I got you, LC. I got you. Pow, 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 pow. Guns, pow, pow, pow. That was it. I'm going to pause it. How do you feel about that?
I'm still flying.
RC, stop it. That felt really good. It felt like I was in, although it wasn't very amazingly done, it felt like I was in. I was looking back at him all the time, and he was getting further and further around that circle, but the bad way. What your comments?
I mean, you did it right, or I took more of a flat approach, where I know I can just get that turn rate over him. Mm-hmm. You did the more direct barber's pull, which is awesome, because it just further proves the point.
Awesome. Yeah, I was really happy about that. So what we'll do is we'll put RC, try and get RC to do it, and then we'll just talk about a little bit more theory about, well, is this going to work if that F5 is a modern fighter, for instance? Because all of a sudden, I don't know, we'll see, I don't know. RC, you give it a go. You're watching what I was doing, so it's a left, it's a left. You've got to put some G in, not a lot of yank, but some G in, and then start easing her up, and then you're over the top, and then basically never start heading down, always get heading up until I'm completely beaten.
Where do the flaps go in?
I put them, as soon as I got below 300, naturally, I just bung the flaps on, and it felt even better.
Alright, here we go.
Chasing you. So you just want to eke it up a little more. Oh, there you go. Because that's where I'm really going to start to struggle. Flaps down if you want. So here's where here's where I'm starting to struggle now. I'm all the way at full half sick now, and I'm stalling, 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 and you're not. And the only thing I can realistically do is go nose down and get out of the fight.
Oh,
RC! RC! Why did you do that for? Sap, dead. Do you want another go, RC? You were doing pretty well until then.
I don't know, I stalled it.
Roger, just got to keep an eye on that airspeed. We'll give you another go. We'll give you one more go, RC.
Don't mind me, I'm just enjoying the show.
One more jump. My only comment there was, we're not only training, so it doesn't matter, but in a real fight you need to be a bit more aggressive, because I had a shot on you as you were just easing into it, but I understand we don't fly the F-14 very much, and it takes a while to find the biting point without just stalling it, so...
And that's okay, because honestly, I watched it from your stream on that one, so from your cockpit perspective, you can just see how the 14 just starts inching and inching and inching away, and that's the point we're trying to drive home.
Here we go.
Ready? That's nicer. That's it, so I'm having to follow you up. Just keep going. So if you can keep it about 250, I found it. She was really comfortable. Just don't go below.
Yeah.
I'm starting to struggle. Shaking. Oh, you've stopped turning. You've stopped turning.
Keep cranking, RC.
There we go.
You're leaving your flaps down, you're bringing up speed.
I'm falling back now. I'm struggling.
There you go. Maintain that pull. Ride the buffet. Don't push through it.
Okay.
You want. It's okay to have a little buffet. Just don't keep pulling deeper into it. There you go. Keep it going. Get your nose down a little bit, because now you can start coming around onto his 6 o'clock.
Right. Oh, yeah, okay.
There you go. Left yaw a little bit. Get that nose dropping into the turn. You might have to do one more circle here to get your kill on him. So we're going to demonstrate our power again. So ride those burners, go up and then left over the top. You gotta get that nose flat, RC.
Yeah.
Gotta get that nose dedicated to one motion.
Took a while, but he's going to get a solution. He's going to get a solution. Zap!
There you go.
Missile in the face.
Yeah, right there.
Got there in the end. Well done. Right, so let's just talk about, just finish up some theory, pausing there. Great. Yeah, I felt when I did it, I was completely in charge. As long as you balance that stall, so you're not going into that stall, and you get that lovely turn rate going up with the flaps down, she felt completely comfortable.
I mean, in regards to the bullet point of the video that I want to hammer home, it's just been shown, even with RC's novice, stick time with a 14 in relation to what we're doing. I mean, it was shown right there.
More jump.
And that's kind of what I'm hammering home. Now, if we wanted to do more of an actual, fight in relation to vertical movement, I would rather have the bandit drop in from some distance or do a proper post-merge fights on.
Roger, I'm just wondering, so if we do a post-merge fights on, are you going to go straight into a climbing turn? How are you going to be doing this?
More of a climbing turn, vertical movement.
Right, okay. Well, why don't we do that then? We'll have, I'll set you two up on a merge. Out you go. So it's come right into that high pull. RC is responding. And that is a solution and a kill already. It's amazing. All right, can we swap? Can I be the F5 now? Because I want to see what. I want to see how I respond. Everyone out, spectators. Right, I want to get 400 knots. It's going down. I'm going to match him. I'll watch him. Burner on. It's gone up. I'm going to turn laterally. Much better turn, super cap. Oh, he's still coming down so quick. Have you got me? You got me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn it! That's the best I can turn. A good turn rate there as well. Okay. So that's how you can use it in a more realistic situation. Can we swap these and I have a go in yours?
Yeah, sure.
Put me against RC because I'm used to, we're more of an equal match. You know what? I've always said the same problem. I'm kinetically amazing, but because the visibility is so bad out of the front bow, I always struggle with this fighter as an ACM. I always lose him.
It just takes some time getting used to it because you'll learn to fly. So I call them pockets in the glass up front. Up front. I typically will fly to push my bandit visually in one of those pockets, making it easier for me to see the bandit throughout the fight.
And merge. Jeez, this thing is incredible. That's basically killed their RC. That was amazing. How was that? I had my maneuver flaps and everything.
I didn't use flaps.
Oh, I found it right at the peak of that thing.
Before you leave your aircraft, let's look outside and see why you don't use them like that. Because you used them too fast. Look at your starboard wing.
Stand by something. It's not flying right for some reason. Oh, I've got damage! I've damaged my flaps! Right, so I've forgotten our training. What was the maximum speed I'm allowed them?
I would use flaps if you're trying to maintain a below, so you're already decelerating into the 300 knot range.
Yep.
And you're holding around 250 and below 250 in your turn. That's when you want to be using flaps. That keeps you from stalling. But as you leave your turn and you're accelerating out of your turn, you want to put the flaps up as quick as possible.
I oversped them, RC. Right, can we try again, RC?
Yep.
So I got a great turn there, but I did break my aeroplane.
And the consequence of that is with that starboard flap down, it's pinching your wing open. So you can't get your wings closed, which is going to be awesome for the F5, because that means the F5 can literally run away from you and then force head-ons.
So no overspeeding the flaps. Now, interestingly, we got a really good comment from one of our viewers. It may have, no, it wasn't you. It's someone else saying that about the real pilots talking about using their manoeuvre flaps in such tight turns against F-15s to win against an F-15 by doing exactly what we're doing. And he said even if he didn't overspeed the flaps, he said he would force them down like we're doing rather than using manoeuvre flaps to get that extra turn. Okay, but he bent them. And every time, they not to the extent where I just bent them, but he bent them a bit, and he got a bollocking off the crew chief because they had to straighten them. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try again without ruining my flaps, and we're probably going to get the same outcome. Are you ready, RC?
12
Spool
o'clock,
the engine.
1 mile.
Keep your back to him, your spine. So flatten out here. There you go.
Even without flaps.
There you go. That's a head-on.
Zap, 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 zap. Let's go around again.
Take it into the vertical again. So he's gonna cut underneath of you. Don't go nose on yet. Let him cut to the right. There you go.
Yep, got it.
Then crank to the right here. He's gonna reverse his turn, but he's got no energy. He's floating there.
Roger. I'm just in a safe lag now, basically.
Yep, you have control of the fight right now.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
That's that fight one, you know, near enough. Okay, I'll see. Thank you for that. Yeah, I know it wasn't perfect, but it just proves the concept again. There's no way you can keep up me getting around the circle one way or another by going up and doing that. So, anything else before we change the F5 out for another fighter V?
No, I think it pretty much proved the point. Now, if you're an F5 pilot and you're asking the question, how do I beat the Tomcat? I don't want to say the Tomcat's invincible. It really comes down to the pilot who's flying it, because just as you can see with RC, it's got quite the learning curve, and you could easily bait a 14 pilot into a maneuver that requires the experience to know what the Tomcat's going to do in that maneuver, and you can really easily force an overshoot and get that fraction of a second to get guns on, to get some sort of shot solution. But for the most part, fighting an F5, as the F5 and fighting the 14, it's going to be a really hard fight. The longer the fight goes on, you got to keep ditching energy. And as a sub 1.0, thrust to weight ratio aircraft, the longer the fight goes, man, your energy is just going to go down the toilet and you're going to float there. And the 14 is just going to walk all over you. So if you're going to make your move, it's got to be in the first 2 circles that happen.
What I found interesting thing about fighting against Tomcats is much more than any other plane is it really depends on the pilot, just reinforcing what you're saying here. So for instance, if you fight against someone in an F-16 or an F-18, you can predict roughly how well that fighter is going to do. With the F-14, if it's a bad pilot, then the plane reacts very badly. It'll just stall a wing and be very bad. If it's a good pilot, then it's really good. It suddenly becomes better than anything else. So more than anything, this seems to react to the pilot. Whereas the fly-by-wire, the more controlled aircraft, the gap is not as big between a good and a bad pilot, I find, because they can't get in trouble as quickly as they can with this, in which we can get ourselves in trouble very quickly with a bit of overpull or whatever.
110% correct.
Right, so let's set things up. This was never a fair fight anyway, as you all know. This is an F5 versus a Tomcat. Let's make it a fair fight. And the Tomcat is an amazing plane, ahead of its time in just about every way. But what do you want to go against, an F-18?
Yeah, there's a guy wanting to fight the F-18 in the chat, so let's go into F-18 versus Tomcat.
F-18, really, really good dogfighter. Some people say it's not so good, but I really disagree.
This is going to be guns.
It's going to go for guns, right? Okay, yep, that's fine. I literally got to press that button, then that button, then that's it. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm getting in the back seat.
Oh, okay.
What?
Poke him in the ear.
Strap in.
Why not? It's something to do.
Roger.
All right, whenever you're ready, Cap.
Pause, select the gun, select that, okay.
Black out on me now.
I wouldn't do that. Right. Oh, 9G, boys. 9G! You won't get that solution. You won't get that solution. I'm gonna eat at you at my 350 knots. Come and eat at him, Hornet. Put the nose down.
Alright, see, watch what's gonna happen right here. Ready?
Yeah.
Shit. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to go meet him. I'm gonna have to go meet him to negate him.
Well, if you had a missile, you'd be dead right now.
I can fly 150 knots. Can you, boys? Can you? Ah, yes! I might win one! I'm gonna win one! The nose control on it! The nose control on it! Snap, snap, snap! This is more like it, boys. Oh, shit! Stop taking me to the vertical! It's getting...
Hook, line, and sinker.
I've got to take it. I've got to put it back in my favour, so I've got to negate him here, which I should be able to do. Okay, I have. And I've got to get back to my favourable turn rate speed. Okay, there it is. There's my turn rate speed. And oh, he's got me. Damn it. Damn! Okay, I'll see. You be the Hornet. And V, you do your thing again. He just worked me down, took me into the vertical, worked me down.
I had to give him a shove, you know what I'm saying, Cap?
No, I don't see what you're saying.
So while we're on the mission, I did something to RC on the back so he can reinforce what I'm about to say. Instead of just sitting there fighting you on that flat turn, just went vertically up and did practically a horseshoe over, cutting your turn off instead of just again showing that horsepower you got with the F-14.
It was very hard to me to react to that. All I could do is try and kind of negate you so you couldn't get a solution, but that screwed me up completely. Right, boys, are you ready?
Ready.
Ready, Freddy.
Off you go, boys. Also, you've got to get to 380 knots and get your limiter on. Stick to 380 knots. It was a struggle.
My Cap, hop in the back seat.
Okay, where's the speedo? Where's the speedo? Where's the speedo? There it is. Where's RC? It's on our deflector, or... There he is, I see him. You're doing well, RC. Keep it going. Get that 380 knots. Don't let him drag you into a 250 knot fight. Make sure you got your limiter off, on, whatever.
Yep.
He's snapping at you, Oh no. Okay, he still hasn't got you, RC, still hasn't got you.
Oh, that was close to the ground, man.
Don't give him the satisfaction, RC. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. RC's lost it.
Yep, I'm gonna hit the ground.
Boom.
Damn.
Yeah, we slowly got control of that. Do you guys want to go again?
Yeah, do it one more time.
Stand by. Out you go, everyone. And Limoges. Watching. Up we go. Turns so quick over the top. It's unbelievable. Nothing else is like that. Although we don't have a gun solution, that was, you know, we'd cut him in half.
And just prolonging the fight just to show things from your perspective there.
Oh,
oh no.
Roger. Right, I'll be the Tomcat. I'll be the Tomcat. I'll see you be the F-18.
We have a friendly
Point.
F-18, 12 o'clock, 1 mile.
Whoops, overloaded.
Ooh, really aggressive on that vertical pitch.
Yeah, where's my fly-by-wire? It's as soon as you see a 5 fly-by-wire plane, and then I come back to this, and it's like, oh my god, you have to be careful, But look, I've already cut his circle in half, look. And I know I don't have a solution, but...
As he crosses over your top, reverse your turn, force to 1 circle. Here comes, reverse left. Crank into him.
Yep, I see. I'm going to do him. Oh, I lost sight of him. My bad.
That's fine.
I lost sight of him. Yeah, I got him
Right
again.
in front of you, 12 o'clock,
Recovering.
45 degrees.
Covering. Got to learn how to put him in my correct area. Right, I'm going to get back in the flow now. I feel like he's very suboptimal now, so I can just probably wear him down now.
Yep, the lower that F-18 stays, the harder the fight's going to get for him.
Yeah. Okay. Zap, 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 zap. Zap, 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 zap.
Oh, shoot him.
No, I
fire.
I don't even know what gun button is anymore, but yeah.
And you lose.
Yes. RC, do you want to try one just to finish it off? You want to try it? So remember, you're going over the top. Try not to snap its wings off or like overdo it.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of caressing, this plane. Gun select. Have we mounted sight on? It's yes. Getting all my Wagnerisms ready. Go. RC's going up. I'm going lateral. Oh, look at that thing pull. Look at it pull, boys. See where it's gone, and I can get on his tail from this. I even know how to fire the gun on this. I'll see, I'm afraid to say.
RC, he's slipping in behind you, man.
Yeah, I see him.
Bro, I don't think the RC just hasn't got. RC's good. He's a good fighter, but he hasn't got hold of that F-14 yet. In terms of what we're trying to do.
I'm not a good dogfighter at all.
You've beaten me before plenty of times.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, V. So you've showed us. I'm going to pause there. What we were originally trying to show, and then we went to the realistic version, and then we went to the realistic version where you've got a top range dogfighter, and you can still maybe not get 100% of defeat rate, but you can still really nullify the modern fighter by going over the top and doing the move that we're talking about, which is pretty.
And the reason why, let's touch on that. So the reason why is if you fight an F-16 or if you fight an F-18, Mirage 2000, even an Su-27 or a flanker fulcrum, it doesn't matter. The turn of the century coming into the whole concept of missiles and getting your nose on target first is what drove the whole concept of having very high AOA at the cost of losing airspeed.
Yep.
So what the 14 used to do, which was just flat out vertical people, how it's translated into the modern dogfight is vertical movement in general is going to make it very hard for a modern fighter, because modern fighter pilots want to get that nose on. They want to be aggressive. They want to get that shot, and they want to get the fight done and over with. Doing that, you can see the vapor coming off the back of those aircraft, and you know right off the bat, all I got to do is just do a vertical yo-yo and come over the top for the most part. And you can literally watch as, hell, when you were flying it, you were practically hanging there at some points with your F-18, trying to just get that nose around and get defensive or get into that offensive seat and shoot me down. And you can see the 14 not being an AOA-driven aircraft, it has a lot of cards up its sleeve.
I'm just trying to think why. So the fighters went this way because of their missiles. They want to get their nose on target to get that initial snapshot. So isn't it interesting though that the old monster, the old 14, is still relevant even in a modern fight?
When the F-14Ds were, going through class, you know what I'm saying? When they were still going through what Top Gun was near the end, the F-14 was just still the king of rate when it came down to getting that nose in and just maintaining and controlling your energy. It's one thing to control your opponent in the fight, and it's another to actually have energy to play with in those breakneck turn fights. And that's something that the F-14 still does very, very, very well if you know what you're doing with it.
Brilliant.
Because where you were at 150 knots coming over the top and you're trying to nose up after me, I was actually accelerating into the vertical, holding 250 and accelerating, coming over the top of the yo-yo.
And it's flying through that fight, you're flying at a lot less angle of attack than me, aren't you?
Take it this way. My mental concept is I have a 4th generation fighter but I'm flying with the mindset of a warbird.
Where you just can't load that alpha.
You can, once you build up the muscle memory, and you, like I was I was showing when you were getting set up with your paddle, I was telling RC, ride the buffet, don't push through it. And it's not necessarily AOA, if you're willing to say. It's more of you're really, 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 really pushing the envelope of that aircraft, and you can pull some really tight turns with it.
So what we have to do now is get it into my mind and employ it. So what I know now is I'm just going to remember that turn, not all the way vertical, but slightly off vertical. After emerge, Tomcat, I'm going to pull it up like that, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to try and almost get him in before that first circle is complete. That's what I'm going to try and get used to. Okay, that's excellent. One more thing to add. I've just done a very boring video, but a useful one, about finding the maximum sustained angle of attack on each in a turn fight of each fighter, and we got some interesting results, including the Tomcat. I'll wait for that video to come out, and you may or may not want to add something to that. I think that's us done for the day, V, and we've done really well. Anything you'd want to add at this point on the subject?
No, just honestly, if there's anything to kind of just put at the end here, it's just to solidify the whole F5 versus F14. Was purely to show the power of the 14. And for what was shown in the video, that was of that time. That was before stuff like the F-18, F-16. I think, honestly, what year was that video actually published? Is there a timestamp on it? Was it 70s?
Yeah, it was 70s, yeah.
So that was before the fulcrum and the flanker became a thing. So this was prior to developing strategies to beat those aircraft. But the whole point of that video is to show new pilots, you've got horsepower and torque if you want to connect it to a car. You've got it. Use it. And where to use it is in the vertical, because you've got the wing and you've got the power. And then as you can see, going into the dogfight against the F5 and then transitioning into the F-18, vertical movement is the key of the 14.
Roger. Okay, great work. Thank you for coming on again. We love having you on because it's just good having people that can teach us and actually know what they're doing. So think whatever subject you want to cover next, and we'll hopefully see you in a few weeks or a few months, V.
Yeah.
All right, good man. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.